The soft hum of the whispering station was Ilara's lullaby. It was a sound as familiar as her own heartbeat, a low thrum that spoke of life support systems diligently cycling, of atmospheric processes filtering cosmic dust, and of the gentle spin that mimicked Earth's gravity, holding her safe in the vast, silent sea of space. From her bed, a cocoon of recycled air and soft adaptive fabrics, Ilara could see it all. Not directly, of course. Her window was a shimmering, intelligent pane that could project any view her heart desired. Tonight, it was set to deep field glimmer, a slow, mesmerizing drift through a nebula of sapphire and rose, where nascent stars pulsed like distant, sleepy hearts. Tiny motes of light, like scattered diamonds, danced across the velvet blackness. "Time for lights down, little star," a warm holographic voice murmured from the bedside table. Lumina, her personal companion AI, shimmered into a gentle, translucent form, a swirl of soft light, vaguely humanoid, with eyes that glowed with knowing kindness. Lumina had been with Ilara since she was old enough to babble, a constant, comforting presence. Ilara sighed, a tiny sound swallowed by the station's hum. "Just 5 more minutes, Lumina. The glimmer is showing off tonight." Lumina's light form tilted. "The glimmer will still be showing off tomorrow, Era. And your grandfather, Elias, will be up before the solar flares checking the deep space arrays. He'll want to tell you about his findings, and you'll need your energy for listening." Ilara giggled. Grandfather Elias had a way of making even the most complex astrophysics sound like a thrilling adventure, especially when he was trying to distract her from missing her parents. Her parents were deep sleepers, their vessel, the Aisha Voyager's dream, on a multi-generational mission to the edge of the known galaxy. They'd been gone for what felt like forever, even though Lumina constantly reminded her of the precise Earth-standard years, months, and days. To Ilara, it was simply a long, long time. "All right, Lumina," Ilara conceded, pulling her covers closer. The adaptive fabric hummed, warming to her touch. "But play me the Dreamweaver sequence tonight, okay?" "Of course, Ilara," Lumina said, her voice softening further. The holographic nebula outside the window began to dim, slowly fading into a dark, starlit canvas. The scattered diamonds remained, however, growing brighter, more distinct. These weren't projections. These were real stars, seen through the station's main observation port, relayed directly to her window. A soft, melodic sequence of chimes began to play, weaving through the quiet hum of the station. It was the Dreamweaver, a sonic tapestry designed to guide young minds into peaceful sleep, filled with images of gentle light and flowing water. Ilara closed her eyes, letting the sounds and the fading light wash over her. But sleep didn't come immediately. Her mind drifted, as it often did, to her parents. She didn't have many direct memories of them, just fragments. A warm hand stroking her hair, a laugh like wind chimes, the scent of something earthy and sweet. Lumina had meticulously catalogued every recording, every holographic message, every data chip memory her parents had left behind. Ilara knew their faces, their voices, their stories, almost as intimately as if they were still here. But it wasn't the same. She missed the way her father would make the station's gravity plates flutter just enough to make her feel weightless for a second, catching her with a booming laugh. She missed her mother's quiet humming as she tended to the hydroponic gardens, coaxing vibrant life from sterile trays. They were both scientists, pioneers, driven by a thirst for knowledge that had taken them light years away. And Ilara, left in the care of her grandfather Elias, often felt a small private ache in her chest, a longing for the warmth of a family she barely remembered. Grandfather Elias, however, was a galaxy unto himself. He was a man woven from starlight and old stories, with eyes that held the wisdom of 1,000 nebulae, and hands that could coax miracles from complex machinery. He lived for his research, the whispering station his personal observatory, but he lived for Ilara even more. His specialty? Stardust, not just any cosmic dust, mind you. Elias believed there was a specific, elusive type of particulate matter, shimmering with a unique energy signature that held secrets of the universe. He called it emissary dust, but to Ilara, it was simply the Stardust. He'd spent decades tracking its patterns, its migrations, its fleeting appearances across the galactic arm. He believed it was more than just space debris. He believed it was a messenger, a carrier of ancient wisdom, perhaps even a key to understanding the very fabric of existence. He'd tell her stories about it, sitting by the main viewport in the observation deck, the vastness of space spread out before them like an infinite tapestry. "See that shimmer, little star?" He'd point a gnarled finger at a particularly bright cluster of microscopic motes. "That's it. That's the stardust. It's not just light reflecting off dust particles. Oh no, it's Yi-Jiang. It's humming a tune that only the universe can truly hear." He believed the stardust moved with intention, that its patterns weren't random, but part of a grand cosmic symphony. He'd shown her complex simulations on the main console, tracing the paths of these luminous particles, highlighting their strange, almost intelligent groupings. He was convinced they were not merely inert matter, but somehow alive, carrying echoes of ancient cosmic events, perhaps even forgotten civilizations. Tonight, as the Dreamweaver played, Alara felt that familiar ache for her parents, but also a surge of curiosity about the stardust. Grandfather Elias had mentioned a rare phenomenon, a stardust bloom, predicted for the coming cycles. A convergence, he'd called it, where multiple streams of emissary dust would align, creating a spectacle unlike any other. He'd promised to wake her for it, no matter how late. The promise was a small comfort, a beacon in her quiet, starlit world. The next morning, Alara awoke to the smell of synthesized nutrient paste, not her favorite, but Grandfather Elias always managed to make it palatable with a dash of flavor concentrate. He was already bustling around the small, efficient galley, his silver hair a halo around his head, his hands moving with practiced ease as he calibrated instruments for breakfast. Good morning, sleeping nebula," he boomed, turning to her with a smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. "Did the Dreamweaver serenade you well?" Alara stretched, feeling the gentle pull of the station's artificial gravity. "It did, Grandfather. I dreamed of a field of tiny glowing flowers, just like the stardust." Elias chuckled, handing her a bowl. "A good sign. Perhaps the stardust is already calling to you, and speaking of which, I have magnificent news." He leaned in conspiratorially, his eyes twinkling. "The atmospheric data from the outer sensors confirms it. The stardust bloom is indeed upon us. Peak visibility in approximately 3 cycles. Tonight, Alara, we witness a celestial miracle." Alara's eyes widened. "Tonight? Really? The big one?" "The big one," Elias confirmed, nodding gravely. "Lumina has already plotted the optimal viewing angle from the main observation deck. I've even recalibrated the spectrographic analysis arrays. We might just catch a glimpse of its true nature." The rest of the day passed in a blur of anticipation. Alara helped Grandfather Elias with his daily tasks, tending to the hydroponics, checking the station's environmental controls, running diagnostic scans on the deep space communication arrays, a task that always made her think of her parents, wondering if their faint signals were still traveling through the void. But her mind kept drifting to the stardust bloom. As the station cycled into its sleep period, Alara, instead of heading to her room, made her way to the observation deck. Lumina, sensing her excitement, had already projected a star chart onto the floor, showing the predicted path of the stardust. The observation deck was the heart of the Whispering Station, a vast, domed chamber with a panoramic viewport that curved almost entirely around them. It wasn't just a window, it was an immersive experience, the transparent layers capable of filtering light, amplifying distant objects, and displaying overlays of scientific data. Tonight, it was set to its purest setting, allowing the raw, unfiltered beauty of space to flood the room. Grandfather Elias was already there, perched on his favorite high-back chair, surrounded by glowing consoles and holographic readouts. He wore his observation jacket, a worn, comfortable garment covered in patches from old missions and forgotten astronomical events. "Welcome, Alara," he said, gesturing to a smaller, equally comfortable seat beside him. "Just in time. The first tendrils are appearing." Alara settled into her seat, her breath catching in her throat. The viewport was a masterpiece of cosmic artistry. Faint, ethereal streams of light, like wisps of celestial smoke, were beginning to emerge from the blackness. They weren't bright, burning stars, but soft, shimmering trails, each mote a tiny beacon of light, dancing and swirling in intricate patterns. "They're so beautiful," Elara whispered, utterly captivated. "Indeed," Elias murmured, adjusting a setting on his console. "Each of those motes, Elara, is emissary dust, a whisper from the cosmos." He pointed to a specific, denser cluster. "See how they gather. They're drawn to each other, forming these incredible structures, almost like living things seeking companionship." As they watched, the streams grew denser, brighter. The individual motes, though still microscopic, began to coalesce into intricate flowing shapes. It was like watching a cosmic ballet, a slow, majestic dance choreographed by unseen forces. Blues, purples, and faint greens swirled together, creating breathtaking tapestries that unfolded and reformed before their eyes. Elias began to narrate, his voice low and reverent. "The prevailing theory, little star, is that this dust is formed in the cores of dying stars ejected during supernova events, but it's not merely the detritus of stellar death, it carries an imprint, a memory. Some theorize it is like cosmic data storage, a universal library etched in light." Elara leaned forward, pressing her hands against the cool surface of the viewport. She could almost feel the energy radiating from the spectacle. "But what kind of memory? What kind of library?" "That, Elara, is the great mystery," Elias said, a profound wonder in his voice. "My research suggests that the stardust doesn't just reflect light, it emits it in a specific, coherent frequency, a frequency that with the right equipment might be decipherable." He gestured to a complex array of sensors extending from the station's exterior, visible as faint outlines against the stardust. "We're trying to listen to its song tonight." As he spoke, the bloom reached its crescendo. A vast, shimmering river of stardust flowed across the viewport, an ocean of light that pulsed and breathed. It was overwhelmingly beautiful, a silent symphony playing out in the depths of space. Then, something shifted. Amidst the swirling patterns, a specific grouping of stardust began to coalesce, forming a distinct geometric shape. It wasn't random. It was a perfect, intricate fractal, repeating patterns within patterns, glowing with an intensity that outshone the surrounding motes. "Remarkable," Elias breathed, his fingers flying across his console. "Look at that coherence. I've never seen anything like it." The fractal pulsed, then slowly began to morph. It stretched, elongated, and then, impossibly, resolved itself into a series of symbols. Not any known human language, but glyphs that seemed both ancient and utterly alien, shimmering with an inner light. Elara gasped. "Grandfather, what are those?" Elias was silent, his brow furrowed in concentration, his eyes glued to the symbols. Lumina's holographic form appeared beside him, its light flickering with heightened activity. "Anomalous data signature detected, Elias," Lumina reported, her voice hushed. "Unprecedented energy resonance. The symbols, they exhibit a mathematical precision beyond any known natural formation." The symbols continued to shift, rotating slowly, then arranged themselves into a sequence. And then, from the heart of the stardust fractal, a single incredibly bright mote detached itself. It didn't drift away. Instead, it moved directly towards the station, growing larger, brighter, until it looked like a tiny, incandescent pearl. It stopped just outside the viewport, hovering there, pulsing with an intense, warm light. Elara felt a strange sensation, not of fear, but of profound connection, as if the mote was looking directly at her, seeing into her very soul. Then, the pearl of light pulsed one last time, intensely, and fractured. Not into dust, but into a momentary fleeting image. It was a face. A woman's face, smiling. Her eyes were warm, familiar. Her hair was pulled back, a faint scar visible just above her left eyebrow. Elara's heart pounded. She knew that face. She knew it from the holographic recordings, from the data chip memories. It was her mother. The image lasted only a fraction of a second, then dissolved back into the shimmering stardust, which slowly began to disperse, the bloom receding into the vastness of space as gracefully as it had appeared. Elias sagged back in his chair, his face pale, but his eyes alight with a wild, triumphant gleam. "Did you see that, Elara?" he whispered, his voice hoarse with awe. Did you see it? Elara could only nod, tears welling in her eyes. It couldn't have been real. A trick of the light, a hallucination brought on by exhaustion and longing. But it had felt so real. It was Mom, she choked out, her voice barely audible. Elias reached over and gently squeezed her hand. I know, little star, I saw it too, and I believe it. That wasn't a trick of the light, that was a message. He tapped a few keys on his console, bringing up a complex series of data readouts. The energy signature, the coherent light emission, it was too precise. And look at this. He pointed to a graph displaying a rapidly fluctuating waveform. A perfect match for the biosignature frequency of your mother's last recorded transmission from the JH Voyager's dream. Elara stared at the graph, then back at the now fading stardust outside. But how could the stardust transmit an image of her? Elias leaned forward, his eyes blazing with renewed purpose. That, Elara, is what we are going to find out. For decades, I've theorized that the Stardust isn't just a library, but a network, a cosmic communication system, capable of relaying information across unimaginable distances, perhaps even faster than light itself, a pathway woven from the very fabric of the universe. He looked at her, his gaze intense. Your parents, Elara, were searching for new horizons. They believed in the interconnectedness of all things. What if they found a way to use the Stardust network? What if this message isn't just a memory, but a call, a guide? Elara felt a thrill, cold and exhilarating, run through her. A call. From her mother. Through the Stardust. The ache in her chest was still there, but now it was mingled with a fierce, burning hope. The symbols, she whispered, remembering the intricate glyphs that had preceded the image. What were they? Elias brought up a holographic projection of the symbols, frozen in time. I don't know yet. They're unlike anything in our databases. But I have a feeling, a very strong feeling, that they are coordinates, a destination, a path. He rose from his chair, his old bones creaking slightly, but his eyes were bright with a youthful fire. He walked to the main viewport, gazing out at the vast, silent sea of stars, now mostly devoid of the spectacular bloom. Your parents believed in dreams, Elara, he said, his voice soft, almost a whisper. They believed that the universe held wonders beyond our wildest imagining, and that with enough courage and enough heart we could reach out and touch them. He turned back to her, a hopeful, determined smile on his face. And I believe, little star, that the Stardust is showing us the way. Elara looked from her grandfather to the fading starlight, then back to the enigmatic symbols glowing on the console. A path. A message. A mother's smile, glimpsed through cosmic dust. Her journey, she realized, was only just beginning. The Stardust isn't just showing us where to go, little star, grandfather whispered, his finger tracing a spiral symbol that pulsed with a soft internal light. It's showing us how to understand. These aren't mere coordinates. These are fragments of a language, ancient and profound, woven from the very fabric of the cosmos. The console, usually a simple data interface, had transformed. Where once there were numerical readouts and navigational maps, now intricate patterns of light flowed and coalesced, each symbol a miniature galaxy of meaning. It was as if the universe itself was whispering secrets directly into their small observatory. Elara leaned closer, her breath misting slightly on the cool air. A language, but who would speak in starlight? Grandfather smiled, a wise, knowing crinkle around his eyes. Perhaps someone who learned from the stars themselves, your mother, for one. She was always fascinated by the whispers between the nebulae, the silent songs of dark matter. She believed there was an intelligence, an order, to the universe that we'd only just begun to perceive. He gestured to a series of symbols that seemed to shift, reconfigure, then settle into a new, more complex pattern. And I believe she found a way to listen and to speak back. For weeks, the observatory became their classroom. Grandfather, with his encyclopedic knowledge of ancient languages and forgotten sciences, tackled the largest structural patterns. Elara, with her intuitive grasp of new systems and a knack for seeing connections, focused on the individual glyphs. The Stardust console seemed to respond to their joint efforts, glowing brighter, revealing more intricate layers of information as they progressed. They learned that the symbols weren't static. They pulsed, shifted, and sometimes dissolved into shimmering particles that reformed into new configurations. It was a dynamic language, almost alive. One particular symbol, resembling a spiraling galaxy with a bright core, became their anchor. Grandfather dubbed it the Nexus, a point of origin, or perhaps a central repository of knowledge. Through diligent study, late nights fueled by warm glow tea and the quiet hum of the Stardust, they began to piece together fragments. It wasn't a linear narrative, but a mosaic of concepts: energy transfer, gravitational lensing, quantum entanglement, and something more esoteric: harmonious resonance with the cosmos. One evening, as Ilara traced a particularly stubborn sequence of glyphs, a thought sparked in her mind. Grandfather, what if it's not just a messagey? What if it's an interface, like a key to something bigger? Her grandfather paused, his brow furrowed in thought. An interface, you mean, it requires interaction, a response? Ilara nodded, excitement bubbling. Look at this sequence, it repeats, but with subtle variations. It's like a question, and each variation is a different way to answer. If we input the correct harmonious resonance, what if it unlocks the next layer? Together, they experimented. Using a holographic stylus projected from the console, Ilara began to manipulate the light symbols, guided by an instinct she couldn't quite explain. She didn't just copy the symbols, she felt their rhythm, their subtle energy. She adjusted the frequency of the light, the speed of its pulse, the spatial arrangement of the shimmering particles. Suddenly, with a soft chime, the spiraling nexus symbol at the center of the console flared with an intense pure white light. The air in the observatory hummed with a palpable energy. From the console, a three-dimensional projection blossomed into the room. It wasn't a star chart, or a set of coordinates. It was a crystalline structure, impossibly delicate and intricate, rotating slowly in the air before them. Within its facets, miniature nebulae swirled, and faint, almost imperceptible light signatures pulsed. By the stars above, Grandfather breathed, his voice thick with awe. It's a map, but not of space as we know it. Ilara, mesmerized, reached out a hand. Her fingers passed through the light form, feeling only a slight warmth. It's showing us connections, pathways, not direct jumps but resonance points between systems. The Stardust, now fully awakened, began to project accompanying data streams, equations that danced like light motes, schematics of a propulsion system, unlike anything known to conventional science, and fragmented recordings of a familiar voice. The whisper drive utilizes harmonic frequencies to ripple the fabric of spacetime, leaving no trace, impossible to track. The voice was faint, distorted by cosmic static, but Ilara recognized it instantly. Her mother. Tears welled in Ilara's eyes, a mix of profound grief and exhilarating hope. Her mother hadn't just disappeared. She had discovered something monumental, something that defied the known laws of physics, and she had built a way to navigate it. The crystalline projection, Ilara realized, wasn't just a map, it was a blueprint for a new form of interstellar travel. The whisper drive, Grandfather repeated, his eyes wide. She was always working on theories of resonant travel, but this is beyond anything I imagined. It's not a jump drive, Ilara. It's a song that the ship sings to the universe and the universe sings back, opening pathways between the notes. The next phase of their journey was clear. They needed a ship. Not just any ship, but one capable of being retrofitted with the whisper drive. Grandfather's observatory was part of a larger, sprawling complex, a former research facility that had fallen into disuse, but still contained a hangar bay. In that hangar bay, gathering dust under a shimmering force field, lay their answer. The Wayfinder. The Wayfinder was an old experimental scout vessel, built decades ago but never truly finished. Its sleek, aerodynamic hull was designed for atmospheric entry and exit, but its primary purpose had been deep space exploration. It had the structural integrity, the modularity, and most importantly, the raw power capacity to handle the Stardust's revolutionary propulsion system. For months, Grandfather and Ilara dedicated themselves to the Wayfinder. Grandfather, with his extensive engineering background, meticulously studied the Stardust schematics, translating the cosmic language into practical components. Ilara, with her agility and quick understanding, became his hands, installing conduits, calibrating energy regulators, and weaving the delicate fiber optic neural network that would connect the Whisper drive to the ship's core systems. The Wayfinder transformed. Its dull grey hull was polished to a mirror sheen, reflecting the nebulae projected by the Stardust console. The cockpit, once a tangle of analog dials and outdated displays, was replaced with holographic interfaces that pulsed with the same enigmatic symbols they had learned to decipher. The ship's main power core, a fusion reactor, was upgraded and retuned to resonate with the Stardust's energy frequencies. The most challenging part was integrating the Whisper drive itself. It wasn't a physical engine in the traditional sense. It was a series of resonant chambers, crystalline emitters, and a harmonic modulator that needed to interface directly with the ship's navigation and consciousness systems. It was less about brute force and more about subtle harmony, about teaching the ship to listen to the universe. One evening, after calibrating the final resonant chamber, Ilara slumped into the pilot's seat, exhausted but exhilarated. "It's done, Grandfather, as done as it can be without testing it." Grandfather, wiping grease from his brow, smiled. "Then it's time, little star, time to see if your mother's song can truly carry us across the stars." The launch was not a grand spectacle. There were no flashing lights or blaring alarms. The Wayfinding, bathed in the soft, internal glow of its activated systems, simply lifted off the launch pad with a barely perceptible hum. Grandfather had programmed a silent orbital departure to avoid detection from any lingering planetary authorities who might question their unsanctioned modifications. As they ascended through the atmosphere, the familiar blue of Earth faded into the inky blackness of space. Ilara, at the controls, felt a surge of emotion. A lifetime of dreams, a mother's mystery, all converging on this moment. Grandfather sat beside her, his hand resting reassuringly on her shoulder. "Are you ready, Ilara?" he asked, his voice calm. She took a deep breath, her gaze fixed on the Stardust console, which now displayed a single glowing nexus symbol, surrounded by a swirling vortex of smaller glyphs. This was their first destination, their first Whisper jump point. "Ready," she whispered, her fingers hovering over the holographic controls. Following the Stardust's instructions, Ilara initiated the Whisper drive. Instead of the usual violent lurch of a jump, there was a profound silence. The stars outside the viewport didn't stretch or warp. Instead, they seemed to deepen, their light becoming richer, more vibrant. A gentle hum permeated the ship, not from the engines but from the very air around them, a vibration that resonated deep within Ilara's bones. Then, the void outside began to shimmer. Not with light, but with Y patterns. Swirling currents of cosmic dust, usually invisible, became luminous rivers flowing past the ship. Distant nebulae, previously just smudges of color, resolved into breathtaking tapestries of gas and light, closer than they should have been. It was as if the Wayfinder wasn't moving quite through space, but unfolding space around itself. We're not seeing the universe as it is, aren't we?" Ilara breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. Grandfather nodded, equally captivated. "No, Ilara, we're seeing its song. The Stardust allows us to perceive the harmonic frequencies that bind reality. Your mother believed that space isn't empty, but a vibrant tapestry of energy, and the Whisper drive allows us to glide along its threads." The journey felt timeless, yet incredibly swift. There was no sensation of acceleration, no crushing G-forces, just a profound sense of peaceful motion. They passed through what looked like a tunnel of pure starlight, where individual stars seemed to stretch into luminous ribbons, then snap back into pinpricks of light as they passed them. Suddenly, the shimmering patterns outside resolved. The deep, vibrant blackness of space returned, but with a new, breathtaking vista. Before them lay a nebula unlike any Ilara had ever seen. It wasn't a diffuse cloud, but a swirling opalescent vortex of colors, emerald greens, sapphire blues, and fiery oranges, all spiraling towards a single intensely bright core. It looked like a cosmic eye, gazing out into the void. "The Eye of Ethel," Grandfather murmured, consulting a faint holographic star chart. "An uncharted nebula, long theorized but never confirmed. Its gravitational anomalies made it impossible to approach with conventional drives." The Stardust console glowed, highlighting a specific point within the nebula's vibrant heart. A small, almost imperceptible distortion in the swirling gases. "That's it," Elara said, her voice filled with a mixture of awe and trepidation. "That's where the Nexus symbol led us." Guiding the wayfinder with a gentle touch, Elara piloted them deeper into the Eye of Ethel. The colors intensified, washing over the ship in waves, painting the interior with shifting hues. The silence of the whisper drive was replaced by a faint, melodic hum, like a choir of distant stars. As they approached the distortion, it resolved into a shimmering, almost invisible membrane. It wasn't solid, but seemed to ripple and undulate, like light on water. The Stardust console pulsed, urging them forward. "A temporal veil," Grandfather wondered aloud, adjusting his glasses. "Or perhaps a dimensional portal." Elara felt no fear, only a profound sense of destiny. She pressed the wayfinder gently against the shimmering barrier. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the membrane rippled, and the ship slipped through, as if passing through silk. They emerged into a completely different space. The vibrant nebula was gone, replaced by a cavernous expanse of blackness, illuminated by a single colossal structure that filled their entire view screen. It was an artificial construct, impossibly vast and intricate, resembling a colossal, flowering lotus made of interwoven crystalline strands. Each petal of the lotus was a vast rotating disc, studded with what looked like thousands of smaller, glowing components. It radiated a soft, golden light that pulsed rhythmically, like a slow, cosmic heartbeat. What is that?" Elara whispered, her voice barely audible. Grandfather was speechless, his jaw slack with wonder. It's not a ship. It's not a station. It's a living architecture. An ancient starflower, perhaps cultivated by a civilization long gone." The Stardust console flared, projecting a new series of symbols. These weren't instructions, but a narrative. Images flickered across the console, ancient beings, shimmering with light, tending to the colossal lotus, starships, small as dust motes, docking at its petals, energy flowing from the lotus into distant nebulae. It was a power source, a beacon, a nexus of life and energy for an entire region of space. Then, the narrative shifted. The ancient beings faded, replaced by more familiar images, research vessels like her mother's approaching the lotus. One image stood out, a small personalized shuttle, bearing the insignia of Elara's mother's research team, docking at one of the lotus petals. "She was here," Elara breathed, a tremor in her voice. Mother was here, at the Star Lotus. The Stardust then displayed a final, crucial image, a schematic of the Star Lotus, highlighting a specific petal, and within it, a single glowing chamber. Beneath it, a series of familiar symbols, forming a message. "The heart of the flower holds the song of the ancients. Listen closely, for the next chord will guide you deeper into the cosmic symphony. Find the resonance, find the truth." And then, another symbol, one Elara recognized from her mother's personal journal, a small stylized starburst. "She left this for us," Elara said, tears streaming down her face, but these were tears of profound joy and fierce determination. Her mother wasn't just leaving breadcrumbs, she was setting a path, a challenge, a scientific quest. "She knew we would come," Grandfather said, his voice thick with emotion. "She knew the Stardust would lead us. This isn't a dead end, Elara, this is a beginning. A new chapter in her research, waiting for us to continue." The Awe finding slowly approached the designated petal of the Star Lotus. As they drew closer, the sheer scale of the structure became overwhelming. Each crystalline strand hummed with a subtle energy, and faint, melodic tones emanated from its depth. It was a symphony of light and sound, a testament to an intelligence beyond human comprehension. Elara guided the ship to the docking port highlighted by the Stardust. The port opened silently, revealing a softly lit hangar bay, empty save for a single small data crystal resting on a pedestal in its center. As Elara prepared the airlock, Grandfather placed a hand on her arm. "Remember, little star, your mother didn't just seek knowledge, she sought connection. She believed the universe wasn't just a collection of particles, but a vast interconnected consciousness. This star lotus, it feels like a part of that consciousness. It feels like a part of that consciousness." Elara nodded, her heart pounding with anticipation. "I understand, Grandfather. It's not just about finding her, it's about understanding what she understood, about listening to the universe's song." Stepping out of the wayfinder and onto the smooth crystalline floor of the hangar, Elara felt a profound sense of reverence. The air was warm, carrying a faint scent like ozone and blooming flowers. She walked towards the pedestal, her footsteps echoing softly in the vast space. The data crystal pulsed with a gentle, inner light. As she reached out and carefully picked it up, a holographic projection flared to life above it. It was her mother. Younger, vibrant, her eyes sparkling with the same adventurous spirit Elara now felt burning within her own heart. She was standing in a similar crystalline chamber, but this one was filled with strange, glowing instruments. "Elara," her mother's voice was clear, warm, and filled with a love that transcended the years of separation. "If you're seeing this, then the Stardust has guided you well, and your grandfather has kept my legacy alive. I knew you would follow, I knew you would understand." Elara's breath hitched. To hear her mother's voice, to see her face, after so long, it was overwhelming. "This star lotus," her mother continued, gesturing around her, "is more than a power source. It's a library, a repository of ancient knowledge, harvested from the very fabric of space-time by a civilization that learned to listen to the universe's song. I've only just begun to decipher its melodies." Her mother's image smiled, a gentle, knowing smile. "The data crystal you hold contains my preliminary findings, my first translations of the Star Lotus song. But it's only the overture, my little star. The true symphony awaits. To unlock the next movement, you must learn to harmonize with the lotus itself. You must learn to sing with the stars." The holographic image of her mother faded, replaced by a complex sequence of stardust symbols, far more intricate than anything Elara had seen before. These symbols weren't just a language, they were a musical score, glowing with vibrant colors, each note a specific frequency, a particular resonance. Elara clutched the data crystal to her chest, her mind reeling. Her mother wasn't lost. She was on a grand expedition, following the universe's oldest song. And she had left a path, a challenge, for Elara to follow. The Star Lotus, a cosmic instrument, awaited its new conductor. The next step wasn't about piloting a ship, but about mastering a melody, about learning to communicate with the universe itself. The journey had just taken a profound and beautiful turn. Elara's heart thrummed with a new kind of rhythm, a counterpoint to the silent hum of the data crystal. Her mother wasn't just out there, she was glistening. And Elara now had a chance to listen too. The data crystal, cool and smooth against her palm, felt less like a piece of technology and more like a captured fragment of a dream. She carried it carefully to her personal terminal, a sleek console built into the wall of her small living quarters. The terminal usually displayed star charts, news feeds, or holographic games, but tonight, it would be her gateway to an ancient secret. With a deep breath, Elara inserted the crystal into the terminal's reader slot. Instead of a standard data dump, the room filled with a soft, iridescent glow. A holographic projection shimmered into existence, not of her mother, but of swirling nebulae and distant galaxies, all overlaid with intricate, glowing lines that pulsed and shifted like living veins of light. From the terminal, a gentle hum began, a sound that vibrated not just in her ears but deep within her bones. Elara, a soft, synthesized voice emerged from the terminal, a voice that was clearly her mother's, though filtered through layers of data compression. "If you are hearing this, it means you have found the first key. It means you are ready to truly listen." Elara felt a lump form in her throat. Her mother's voice, so calm, so full of warmth. It was as if she were right there in the room. "The universe, my dearest starseed," the voice continued, "the holographic nebulae swirling faster, is not silent. It sings. From the birth of stars to the whisper of dark matter, every particle, every wave, resonates with a fundamental frequency. This is the oldest song, the primordial hum from which all existence springs." The projection shifted, resolving into a breathtaking image. A colossal structure, luminous and ethereal, resembling a gigantic flower with petals crafted from light and crystalline energy. It floated in the void, radiating a soft, pulsing luminescence that seemed to draw in the surrounding starlight. It was impossibly beautiful, more organic than any technology Elara had ever seen, yet clearly structured with an intentional design. "The Star Lotus," her mother's voice explained, "is a relic of the first architects, a civilization that understood the universe not as a collection of objects, but as a symphony. They built the Star Lotus as an interface, a way to interact with the cosmic song, to explore its nuances, to even, they believed, guide its harmony. For millenniums, waiting for a heart attuned to its rhythm." Elara stared, captivated. How do I play it?" she whispered, as if her mother could hear her. The holographic display zoomed in on the Star Lotus, focusing on a central chamber, a nexus of swirling light within its heart. "The data crystal you hold is more than just information. It contains the foundational frequencies, the first notes of the universal song, but to truly play the Star Lotus, you must learn to feel these frequencies, to internalize them, to become a part of the melody yourself." The crystal, still in the slot, pulsed brighter. A smaller spherical drone, no bigger than Elara's fist, detached from a hidden compartment within the terminal. It was sleek, metallic, with a single multifaceted optical lens that glowed a soft blue. It hovered silently before her. "This is Lumi," her mother's voice said, a touch of fondness entering her tone. "Lumi has been my companion for many cycles. It contains the full data log of my research, the specific coordinates, and the initial training protocols. Lumi will be your guide, your teacher, and your friend on this journey. It will help you learn the language of the cosmos." Lumi tipped closer, its blue lens blinking once, then twice, as if in greeting. A chime, like tiny wind bells, emanated from its core. "My first task for you, Elara," her mother's voice continued, "is to listen. Lumi will provide the lessons. You will begin by learning to differentiate the subtle energy signatures that permeate all space. Think of it not as hearing sounds but as feeling vibrations, sensing resonance. This will be your first step in mastering the cosmic melody." The hologram of the Star Lotus faded, replaced by shimmering patterns of light and sound that Lumi projected. Elara reached out a tentative hand, and the patterns swirled around her fingers, warm and tingling. The Star Lotus is located deep within the Whispering Nebula, a region known for its unusual energetic anomalies. Lumi's synthesized voice, clearer and more direct than her mother's recorded message, finally spoke. "It is a journey that will test your perception and your resolve. But you are your mother's daughter, Elara. You have her spirit of discovery." Elara spent the next few days immersed in Lumi's lessons. The drone was an extraordinary tutor. It projected intricate energy fields that Elara had to learn to perceive, first visually, then through touch, and finally, through an intuitive sense she hadn't known she possessed. Lumi would generate complex patterns of light and sound, subtle fluctuations in the room's atmospheric pressure, even faint magnetic pulses. Elara's task was to identify them, categorize them, and eventually, to replicate them using a specialized haptic glove her mother had also left behind. The glove, woven with fine responsive filaments, allowed Elara to feel energy. When she wore it, the air itself seemed to hum with myriad tiny vibrations. Lumi guided her through exercises, asking her to focus on a particular frequency, to isolate it from a cacophony of others, much like separating the sound of a single instrument in a grand orchestra. It was challenging, often frustrating. Her head ached, her senses felt overwhelmed. But there were moments, fleeting at first, then more frequent, when she would click with a frequency, feeling it resonate within her, a clear, pure tone amidst the noise. "Excellent, Ilara," Lumi would chime, its blue lens brightening. "You are beginning to perceive the underlying structure of reality. This is the first step towards communicating with it." One evening, after hours of practice, Ilara closed her eyes, the haptic glove still on. Lumi projected a simple undulating frequency. Instead of trying to touch it or see it, Ilara simply felt for it. And then, something extraordinary happened. She didn't just feel the vibration on her hand. She felt it ripple through her chest, a warm, comforting wave. It was as if the frequency wasn't just around her, but within her. A memory, faint but vivid, flashed in her mind. Her mother, holding her as a baby, humming a lullaby. The memory wasn't a visual, but a feeling, a resonant frequency of love and safety. It was the same feeling she was experiencing now, amplified. I felt it," Ilara whispered, opening her eyes. Lumi glowed with approval. "Indeed, you have moved beyond mere perception. You are beginning to empathizing with the energy. This is crucial for operating the Star Lotus. It is not a machine to be commanded, but an entity to be harmonized with." As Ilara's sensitivity grew, Lumi began to introduce her to the practicalities of the journey. Her mother hadn't just left behind a data crystal and a drone, she had also prepared a ship. Hidden beneath a retractable floor panel, in their old disused cargo bay, was a sleek, compact star skimmer, the Stardust Dreamer. It was smaller than Ilara remembered, designed for rapid, long-distance travel, and clearly optimized for a single pilot. Its hull was a pearlescent white, shimmering with subtle iridescent patterns that seemed to shift with the light. "Your mother spent many cycles refitting the Stardust Dreamer," Lumi explained, hovering beside the ship's sleek cockpit. "It is equipped with specialized resonance, dampeners, and a unique frequency nullification drive, essential for navigating the Whispering Nebula without tearing apart at the quantum seams." Ilara ran a hand over the cool, smooth hull. "She really thought of everything, didn't she?" "She foresaw the challenges," Lumi confirmed. "And she prepared you, Ilara, for a journey beyond mere navigation. The Stardust Dreamer is more than a vessel, it is an extension of your senses. Its primary interface is designed to respond to subtle energetic commands, not just manual controls." This was where Ilara's training truly began to converge with piloting. The cockpit was sparse, dominated by a large circular console that glowed with a soft, pulsing light. There were no traditional joysticks or myriad buttons. Instead, holographic interfaces shimmered into existence as Ilara strapped herself into the pilot's seat. Lumi projected holographic schematics, showing her how to mentally interface with the ship's systems, using the same frequency perception she had been practicing. She learned to feel the ship's energy core, to adjust power distribution by shifting her internal resonance, to guide the navigation systems not with coordinates typed into a screen, but with an intentional projection of direction. It was like learning to ride a living creature, rather than piloting a machine. At first the ship lurched and sputtered, responding erratically to her untrained mind. But slowly, painstakingly, Ilara began to synchronize with the Stardust Dreamer. She learned to sense the faint hum of its engines, the subtle shifts in its energy shields, the distant echoes of stellar radiation through its sensors. The Stardust Dreamer became an extension of her own nervous system, translating her will into motion, her perception into data. "The Whispering Nebula is not charted in conventional ways," Lumi warned one day, as Ilara ran through a simulated deep space transit. "Its internal structures are fluid, constantly shifting, governed by complex gravitational and energetic anomalies. Your mother theorized that these anomalies are, in fact, localized expressions of the cosmic song itself. Navigating them requires not just precise piloting, but an intuitive understanding of these energetic currents." "So, I have to listen to the nebula?" Ilara asked, guiding the simulated ship through a particularly turbulent patch of energy. "Precisely," Lumi affirmed. "The Star Lotus's location within the nebula is not fixed by spatial coordinates alone, but by a specific harmonic convergence. You will feel it when you are close." Finally, the day came for departure. Elara stood in the Stardust Dreamer's small cargo bay, looking back at her home, a quiet space colony, nestled on a verdant moon. A pang of loneliness, sharp and sudden, pierced her resolve. She was leaving everything familiar behind, venturing into the unknown, chasing a dream and a mother she barely remembered. But then she thought of the Star Lotus, of the universe's oldest song. She thought of her mother, not lost, but on an incredible adventure. And Elara, for the first time in a long time, felt a sense of purpose that dwarfed her fear. "Ready, Lumi?" she asked, climbing into the pilot's seat. "Always, Elara," the drone chimed, taking its place in a small docking port near the console. With a soft hum, the Stardust Dreamer lifted from its hidden bay. The pearlescent hull shimmered as it ascended through the moon's atmosphere, then punched through the planetary shield, leaving the familiar blue-green orb behind. The stars, sharper and more numerous than she had ever seen them from the colony, glittered like scattered diamonds on black velvet. Elara set a course for the edge of the known galaxy, towards the faint shimmering veil of light that marked the beginning of the Whispering Nebula. From this distance, it looked like a harmless, beautiful cloud. Lumi projected a shimmering path, a route her mother had carefully mapped, a route through the galactic currents that would lead them to the nebula's outer fringes. The journey was long, a serene drift through the vast emptiness between star systems. Elara spent her time refining her connection with the Stardust Dreamer, meditating with Lumi's guidance, and practicing her frequency perception. She learned to identify the unique energy signatures of different celestial bodies, the deep, resonant thrum of a gas giant, the sharp, fiery crackle of a young star, the slow, ancient pulse of a nebula. As they approached the Whispering Nebula, the emptiness began to fill with subtle sensations. The stars outside her viewport seemed to shimmer with unusual colors, and the silence of space was replaced by a faint, almost subliminal hum. It was the first whisper of the nebula, a chorus of faint, overlapping frequencies. "We are entering the outer veil, Elara," Lumi announced. "Prepare for energetic fluctuations." The Stardust Dreamer trembled slightly. Outside, the shimmering veil resolved into vast ethereal clouds of gas and dust, painted in hues of violet, indigo, and emerald. But these weren't ordinary clouds. They pulsed with an inner light, constantly shifting and reforming. Energy tendrils, like cosmic lightning, arced silently between them. Elara engaged the resonance dampeners, feeling the ship settle, the vibrations outside becoming less jarring. She focused, using her haptic glove, on sensing the energetic currents. It was like trying to navigate a river by feeling the flow of the water, rather than seeing it. "Negative energy surge from port, 27 degrees, Lumi warned. Elara instinctively shifted her internal resonance, urging the Stardust Dreamer to adjust its trajectory, to weave through the unseen currents. The ship responded, gliding smoothly past a sudden burst of violet energy that would have surely battered a less attuned vessel. "Excellent, Elara," Lumi praised. "Your synchronization is improving." Deeper into the nebula they ventured, and the whispers grew louder, more complex. It wasn't sound in the conventional sense, but a symphony of vibrations, a cacophony that threatened to overwhelm Elara's senses. She had to learn to filter, to focus, to find the underlying patterns in the chaos. Lumi helped, projecting visual representations of the frequencies, turning the invisible into something Elara could see and understand. She saw the nebula as a vast living tapestry of intertwined energies. Some currents were turbulent and chaotic, others flowed with serene, ancient power. She learned to ride the gentle currents, to avoid the turbulent eddies, navigating by intuition and a growing sense of cosmic harmony. Days bled into weeks within the nebula. The external reality became a blur of shimmering light and vibrant color. Elara lived in a world of frequencies, her senses constantly attuned. She rarely slept, often meditating in the pilot's seat, letting the nebula's song wash over her, searching for the specific harmonic her mother had described. "The Star Lotus's unique signature is a compound frequency," Lumi reminded her one cycle, as they drifted through a particularly dense cloud of emerald energy. "It is a blend of the fundamental hum and a specific, complex overtone, a resonance of creation and sentience." Elara closed her eyes, letting her mind expand, trying to hear beyond the noise, to feel beyond the surface. She stretched her awareness, reaching out with her newly honed senses. And then, faintly at first, like a distant echo, she felt it. A distinct vibration, deeper than the nebula's hum, more intricate than any energy she had yet encountered. It was like a single, perfectly tuned note, emerging from a vast, discordant choir. It wasn't loud, but it resonated with an undeniable authority, a warmth that seemed to call to her. "Lumi," Elara whispered, her eyes still closed. I think I feel it." Lumi's optical lens pulsed rapidly. "Coordinates confirmed. The harmonic convergence is directly ahead. We are approximately 0.5 light-hours from the estimated location of the star lotus." Elara opened her eyes. Ahead, the emerald clouds thinned, revealing a pocket of deeper, almost velvety blackness. But it wasn't empty. In the very center of that void, a faint, almost imperceptible glow pulsed. It was too distant to resolve into detail, but Elara knew. She felt it in her bones, a deep, resonant certainty. Engaging final approach, Elara declared, a thrill of anticipation coursing through her. She guided the Stardust dreamer forward, the ship gliding smoothly, as if pulled by an invisible tether. The glow grew steadily, resolving into a breathtaking spectacle. It was indeed a colossal flower, but unlike the flat holographic image, this was three-dimensional, immense, filling her entire field of vision. Its petals, woven from shimmering light and crystalline structures, seemed to breathe, slowly unfurling and retracting in a cosmic rhythm. Each petal was a different hue, from deep sapphire to molten gold, interconnected by veins of pure, pulsating energy. It didn't just glow, it vibrated, sending out ripples of light and energy that touched the Stardust dreamer like gentle waves. The star lotus. It was real. And it was even more magnificent than her mother's projection. Elara brought the Stardust dreamer to a slow, reverent stop before the colossal structure. The ship's internal sensors hummed, overwhelmed by the sheer energetic output of the star lotus. Lumi projected a shimmering data stream, showing the complex interplay of frequencies emanating from the ancient artifact. The central chamber, Elara, Lumi indicated, projecting an arrow towards the heart of the star lotus, where the petals converged, forming a vast luminous sphere. "That is the primary interface. Your mother's last message instructed you to enter and attempt the foundational resonance." Elara felt a mixture of awe and trepidation. This was it. The culmination of her journey, the beginning of her mother's challenge. She looked at the star lotus, its impossible beauty, its silent, ancient power. She was about to touch the universe's oldest song. Carefully, Elara piloted the Stardust dreamer into the central chamber. As they passed through the outermost layer of shimmering petals, the ship was bathed in a warm, gentle light. The air itself seemed to hum with a profound resonant frequency that Elara now recognized. It was the fundamental hum, the note of creation. The chamber opened into an immense cavernous space, its walls shimmering with intricate patterns of light that seemed to shift and dance in response to her presence. In the very center of this chamber, floating weightlessly, was a crystalline pedestal, pulsating with a soft, inviting light. It was clearly the conductor's stand, the place from which one would attempt to play the cosmic instrument. Elara landed the Stardust dreamer gently on an iridescent landing pad. Her heart pounded with a mix of excitement and fear. This was a moment she had dreamed of, trained for. She took a deep breath, securing her haptic glove, and stepped out of the ship. The air in the chamber felt alive, thick with ancient energy. Lumi zipped out of the ship, hovering beside her. "The pedestal awaits, Elara. Project the foundational frequency your mother encoded into the data crystal. Let your intention guide the energy." Elara walked towards the crystalline pedestal, her steps echoing softly in the vast chamber. As she approached, the pedestal's light intensified, bathing her in a warm, welcoming glow. She placed her gloved hand on its smooth, cool surface. Immediately, a surge of energy flowed through her, not violent but profound, connecting her to the very core of the star lotus. The intricate patterns on the chamber walls swirled faster, responding to her touch. Elara closed her eyes, focusing her mind, remembering all of Lumi's lessons, all of her mother's words. She reached deep inside, searching for that fundamental resonance, the one she had felt within herself during her training. She visualized the swirling nebulae, the birth of stars, the silent dance of galaxies. She poured her longing, her hope, her wonder into the intention. She felt the specific frequency, clear and strong, building within her. With a focused breath, she projected it outward, through her hand, into the crystalline pedestal, into the heart of the star lotus. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire star lotus seemed to awaken. The light within the chamber pulsed with blinding intensity. The crystalline petals outside began to unfurl fully, stretching outwards like a flower blooming in fast motion, revealing layers of previously hidden, glowing structures. A deep, resonant hum, far more powerful than anything she had felt before, thrummed through the entire ship, through the chamber, through Elara herself. It wasn't just a sound, it was a physical sensation, a cosmic vibration that resonated with every cell in her body. The patterns on the walls didn't just swirl, they solidified, forming intricate, three-dimensional constellations of light, depicting alien galaxies, nebulae she had never seen, and swirling currents of pure, unadulterated energy. It was a map, a library, a living record of the universe, all powered by her single intended frequency. Elara gasped, overwhelmed by the beauty and power she had unleashed. The hum deepened, resolving into a complex, multifaceted chord that seemed to carry the weight of eternity. She was connected, truly connected, to something ancient, something vast beyond comprehension. "You have done it, Elara," Lumi chirped, its light flashing excitedly. "You have activated the Star Lotus. You are playing the universe's oldest song." The grand shimmering petals of the Star Lotus continued to unfurl, revealing more and more of its intricate inner workings, its conduits of starlight and energy. The chamber itself seemed to expand, its luminous walls projecting visions of distant wonders, of cosmic phenomena Elara could only dream of. She felt a profound sense of peace, of belonging, as if she had finally found her true place in the cosmos. But as the initial awe began to settle, Elara also felt a new sensation. Beyond the fundamental hum, beyond the visions, there was a faint, almost imperceptible whisper. A subtle variation in the cosmic chord. It was a new frequency, one she hadn't learned, one that felt personal. It was a call. Her mother's call. Hidden within the vast symphony, a single unique note. Elara knew, with a certainty that vibrated deep in her soul, that her journey was far from over. This was just the overture. The Star Lotus was activated, the song had begun. She had to learn to listen even deeper, to master not just the fundamental hum, but the intricate personal harmonies woven into the fabric of the universe. The Star Lotus pulsed around her, a waiting instrument, now fully alive, its cosmic music echoing through the vastness of the whispering nebula, inviting her to play on. Elara took a deep, shaky breath, the Star Lotus invitation a tangible presence in the shimmering air. She closed her eyes, trying to focus, to discern the intricate harmonies, but the sheer vastness of the cosmic music was overwhelming. It was like trying to hear a single whisper in the roar of 1,000 waterfalls. She tried to hum, to match the rising and falling notes, but her human voice was a tiny, fragile thing against the universe's grand chorus. Frustration, a small dark cloud, began to gather in her heart. Then, a flicker. Not a sound, but a memory. The soft, familiar melody her mother used to hum while tucking her into bed, a lullaby woven from starlight and whispered dreams. Elara didn't try to sing it, she felt it. She felt the warmth of her mother's hand on her cheek, the gentle sway of the rocking chair, the specific scent of the nebula flower tea her mother always drank. Each detail, each sensory memory, was a note in a personal symphony only she could compose. As she focused on that lullaby, on the pure, uncomplicated love it represented, something shifted within the Star Lotus. One of its delicate, crystalline petals, previously dormant, began to glow with a soft peach-colored light. A new harmonious note, impossibly sweet and clear, joined the cosmic chorus. It was her mother's melody, amplified, made real. Encouraged, Elara delved deeper. She remembered her mother's infectious laugh, the way her eyes crinkled at the corners when she told a particularly funny story. The star lotus responded, its lights pulsing with joyful emeralds and sapphire blues, adding layers of vibrant sound to the growing composition. She remembered a specific day, exploring a shimmering crystalline cave on a distant moon with her mother, their shared sense of wonder. The star lotus hummed with a deep, resonant bass, echoing the cavern's natural acoustics. Elara realized it wasn't about Woi making the music, but about I feeling it, about allowing her own heart's song, born of love and memory, to resonate with the star lotus. She was not just playing an instrument, she was the instrument, her emotions tuning its cosmic strings. Her longing, her hope, her beautiful, unwavering love for her mother. These were the notes she was composing. The star lotus, now fully alive and radiant, began to pulse with a steady, rhythmic beat, a heartbeat of pure connection. Its light coalesced into a shimmering pathway, not solid, but a luminous current flowing through the deepest parts of the whispering nebula. Without conscious thought, the star lotus began to move, gliding along this pathway, drawn by the irresistible pull of Elara's unique melody. They traveled not through physical space, but through a dimension of pure feeling, guided by the music of memory and love. The nebula swirled around them, its colors deepening, its whispers becoming clearer, like voices just on the edge of hearing. Finally, the pathway led them to a quiet, luminous pocket within the nebula, a space where the starlight gathered in an impossibly gentle embrace. Within this shimmering sanctum, a warm, golden light began to coalesce. It wasn't a physical form, but an essence, a vibrant, loving presence that felt undeniably, exquisitely familiar. It pulsed with a gentle rhythm, radiating an overwhelming sense of peace and joy. A voice, not heard with her ears, but felt deep within her soul, flowed into Elara. It was her mother's voice, clear and loving, a melody woven from pure affection. My sweet Elara, you found me. You truly listened. I was never lost, my love, merely traveling on a different frequency, exploring the deeper harmonies of the cosmos. I knew you would find your way, led by the music of our hearts. Elara felt tears stream down her face, not of sadness, but of profound understanding and relief. Her mother wasn't gone. She was here, in this beautiful, boundless space, connected to everything, and especially to Elara. The universe is an infinite song, Elara, her mother's essence continued. The words a comforting caress. And our love is an eternal melody within it. Listen always, my darling, for wherever I am always with you, a harmony in your heart, a star in your sky. The golden light pulsed once more, a final, loving embrace, and then gently diffused back into the shimmering starlight of the nebula. Elara felt a profound sense of peace settle over her, a quiet understanding that transcended physical presence. Her mother was not gone, she was everywhere, part of the cosmic symphony, forever accessible through the music of their bond. The star lotus, its purpose fulfilled for now, gently settled around Elara. Its vibrant light softened, its cosmic hum transforming into a tender, familiar lullaby, a blend of the universe's ancient song and her mother's loving melody. Elara curled up in its warm, glowing core, feeling safe, cherished, and utterly connected to the vast, beautiful expanse of the cosmos. As the gentle music washed over her, she drifted into a peaceful sleep, knowing that the melody of love would always guide her heart, forever echoing through the stars.